All right, TradingView, how to set it up, how to navigate it, and how to use it. First things first, guys, welcome to another video with Freedom Forex Trading. For those of you who don't know, my name's Dylan, one of the head mentors. Alongside me, you've got Bradskucetrades. If you're unfamiliar with us, who we are, and what we do, I'll put our Instagrams on the screen for you now. Jump over, have a look, see all the different things that we get up to as full-time traders. Without any further ado, let's get into it. So obviously breaking down TradingView today. When you first set up your TradingView account, it's going to ask you to do paid accounts, all that sort of stuff. When you're beginning, you really don't need to do it. Just get used to it on the free version. Down the track, I do highly recommend having the paid version. Obviously, you get different features, better chart data, all that sort of stuff. But at first, keep it basic, keep it simple. Don't worry about spending your money on TradingView. So when you first set up your account, you can just use Google to set it up, nice and simple. It'll bring you straight onto this screen here. Now, to be able to actually load up the chart data itself, we don't really use any of this along here. I don't follow any news. I don't do any fundamental trading or anything like that. So everything that comes up initially is pretty irrelevant to what you're actually going to be doing. So our first thing is we want to actually get to the chart data itself. To do that, we're going to go to the search bar that we've got up the top here. Now, what we're going to do from there, click on the chart. We're going to go over to Forex. You can click on anything, obviously, that you're going to be trading, whether it's stocks, futures, crypto, indices, whatever it might be. We're obviously Forex traders. So first thing I'm going to do is go straight to Forex, click on a pair that I'll be trading. I trade Euro USD and GBP USD, always on the Owanda broker. So as you click on that, you can obviously type. It will bring everything up here when you do click on Forex. We can type it if you are looking for a specific pair. You've obviously got a lot of different pairs that you can trade. So for me, we're just going to click on Euro USD today. Go hover over the Owanda and go launch chart. From there, it's going to load up all of your chart data. It'll bring you straight to whatever time frame. It usually takes you straight to the daily time frame, and your chart will look exactly like this. You may have a lot of different things over in the watch section over here. I have gone and cleared them all out just to keep it nice and simple for the purpose of this video. But all that you need to do, if you do have random things sitting in there, so if I just click on this now, a couple of different things. If you're wanting to remove everything out of this watch list section that you have in the right over here, you just hover over the little X that you've got there, and that'll remove everything. Get rid of the stuff that you don't watch. We don't want to have anything in there that isn't of relevance to us and isn't of any sort of importance. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to get my watch list set up with the pairs that I'm actually going to be trading, so I can flick between them as I'm going throughout my trading session. So what I want to do is hover over the little plus symbol next to the watch list button. Hover over that, click on the plus. We're going to type in Euro USD. Click plus next to the Owanda broker, and that's going to put it in our watch list. As you can see, it saves it on the right here. Next thing I'm going to do is put in GBP USD. Same thing, Owanda. Click the plus. That'll save it in my watch list section over here. So now I can flick between these two charts exactly as I need to throughout my trading session. So if you are wanting to have some major pairs or some minor pairs, and you're wanting to be able to create them into different sections and, sort of separate things a little bit, like you might have, for example, some main pairs that you trade and then some other pairs that you watch. So you might, have a main pair section here and other pairs section underneath it, whatever suits you. If you are wanting to be able to rename this and add a different section, we're going to go to the three little dots where it says settings, click on that and go add section. Now, if we click and hold, we can move that to exactly where we want it, move it underneath it, click it once again. So if we're hovering over there, click on it once, click it one more time, it's going to allow us to rename it. And we may name this other pairs. Beautiful. Now, if we were to go and add a second pair in over here, and let's just say we're going to trade Euro GBP, click on the plus, it'll now drop it down underneath our different section. So we can have this, if we click the little arrow, it'll hide it or bring it up. Same with the other pairs. Now, if you want to move this from one of your other pairs into a main pair, you just click and drag. Very easy, very, very simple to use. So that's all you really need to know in this section. I don't use anything else. I don't read too much of the actual data. If you're wanting to better have that section larger or smaller, we click our little gray bar that sits in the middle here, the separator, and you just click and drag. Make it as big or as small as you like. To close this section, open it entirely, we've got the box with the 3 lines on the right here up the top. We just click that. So in that way, when we're in our session, watching the pair, we can have a nice big screen. Don't have to have anything on there unnecessary that's going to distract us or take our eyes away from what it is that we might be doing. Beautiful. Now, one of the annoying parts about the free version of TradingView is you do get lots of ads. So you'll see that popping up constantly throughout this video. It is a little bit annoying, but for beginners, it's perfectly fine to just remove that. But as you do start to get a bit more serious, like I said, I do recommend using the paid option. Don't have any affiliation with TradingView, just as my opinion. That's what's going to be best for your progression. Awesome. Moving on from here. So on the chart at the moment, the data that we have is for the daily time frame. Now, we're going to be using multiple different time frames as traders. Some of us go down to the seconds, some of us go down to the very low minutes. Some people like swing traders are just going to be using the hourly section or hourly data, I should say. So to be able to change the time frame of what we're looking at, we're going to go up to the top here, and where it's got the D next to the pair, we're going to click on that, and that's going to bring up all of our different time frames that we can trade with. Now, to be able to favoritize these so we don't have to constantly click in here and scroll through, and we can just have them nice and easily accessible up the top, we'll click on that and click the little star next to it. So for me, I use the daily, the 4 hour, the 1 hour, the 30-minute, the 15-minute, the 5-minute, the 3-minute, and the 1 minute. I don't use any seconds. In my opinion, you don't need to trade with the seconds time frame. So as we can see now, these are all labeled across the top, making it very easy for me to be able to bounce between the time frames, so I can skip along without having to go in here, have a scroll around and pick them. It's just nice and easy for me to be able to actually find those pairs and utilize them. So that's all you need to know. On your paid versions, you do have options like being able to add custom intervals. Like you can see in here, it's come across from my other personal TradingView account. We've got the 2 minutes, 10 minutes, and you can just add whatever time frame you really want to have in there, but you probably won't really need that too much in all honesty. Awesome. That's all we need to know about the time frame section and how to utilize that. Now, next thing, the actual tools that we're going to use for our trading. So along the left-hand side of your screen, you're going to have all the different tools that you can use, the different things that we can actually mark up our charts with. So first things first is our cursor right at the top. Couple of different options. You got your dot, got your arrow, and then you've got an eraser to be able to get rid of anything that you do have drawn on the chart. But I'll show you an easier way to do that. For me personally, I like to use the cross. I find it doesn't get in the way too much. It's really easy to be able to pinpoint exactly where I am, but a bit of personal preference. When we do click on our favorite button along the side, it's going to bring it up on the actual screen itself. Again, same with the favorites bar and the time frames, making it very easy to access the tools that we want to be able to use. Your 6 little buttons along the side here is how we can grab it and move it. I like to keep mine up the top in this blank space, really just out of the way. It doesn't take up any room and I always know exactly where it is. Next thing from here and what I use is the trend line tool. I don't use this because I trade trend lines. I use this to be able to mark out liquidity and things like that on the charts. So I always have that in my favorites bar. I have my horizontal ray in the favorites bar, and that's all I use inside of here. I don't use any of these other tools. I don't think they're necessary, don't fit my strategy, and not really something that I use. So I have those 2 there, and I will show you how to use those in a moment. Next thing, don't use fibs. I don't use any of this stuff, so that can stay where it is. Same with these. I don't trade patterns. So we don't need any of those. This is really important. Long and short position. Obviously, our risk to reward tools. These are exactly what we need to be able to see where we're getting into our entry price and how that works. Show you how to use those in a moment. So we're definitely going to favorite both of them. The other bits and pieces, we don't need anything of. Moving along, our brush. This is our drawing tool. Definitely need that. Highlighter, that's what I use to be able to mark my actual ranges, and the rectangle to be able to mark IFCs, POIs, things of that nature. Definitely need those three. Must have to in your favorites tool. From there, that's really it. We don't use really anything else. We don't use any text or anything like that unless we're, for example, doing our journaling and we're wanting to write on the chart. That's when we can use these, but don't need them in the favorites tool. Emojis, definitely don't want to have them trading to business, so we don't use that. Now, this isn't something that I have in my favorites tool, but the measuring tool is really good to be able to use, so you can gauge the distance between areas or size of IFCs for qualifying purposes and things like that. So how we use that, there's two different ways to go about using the measuring tool. So you can obviously click it, and for example, if I was to measure this IFC at the top, I'm going to click at the top, click at the bottom, and then that's it. It's going to tell me how many pips. So that's 86.5 pips is the size of that IFC. Now, another thing that we can use the measuring tool for is if we're to measure the distance of a move. So for example, if we're to measure from this high to this low, and we don't want to count each individual candle on how long it took to create that move, what we'll do is we'll go to the top, hover over, drag it down. And now we've covered this whole move. We can see that that move down was 445 pips and it occurred over 48 days. So good tool to have if you're wanting to see how long things have taken to play out. So that's how we use that. The other way to be able to use the measuring tool is to hold shift and then click. Same thing. Click once to lock it in, and then we can move our mouse around exactly however we need. Works in the same way, exactly the same from there. Beautiful. Now, using the tools, we'll start with the trend line tool. So click in the trend line, click once, that's going to bring it on our screen. Hover it over exactly where we might want it. Click again, click off, and now that's locked in place. Got multiple different options we can do with our trend line tool. If we're wanting to change the color, we double click. We can do things like extending the lines across. We can have dots in the middle points. There's lots of different options on what we can do here. If we're wanting to write on the trend line, we'll click the text button, type what we want, and you can see that it comes up on there. If we're wanting to move where that writing is on the trend line, we'll click along the text alignment here. We can have it on the bottom, on the top, or in the middle, on the left, in the center, or on the right. This is obviously going to depend on what you're using it for, how you want it positioned. For me, I usually have mine in the center and in the middle if I'm drawing things like liquidity. Now, to change the color, of course, we're clicking here. We can change the obviously the strength of the text itself, whether we want it really bold, whether we want a little bit faded, how you want that set up. Bolding and having it slanted, we can do both of those options. Size, obviously, of course, is in here. We don't want that too big or anything like that. It will take away from your chart and it will take up a lot of space if you're going from a lower time frame up to a higher time frame, and it just looks a little bit skewed. So just be mindful of that when you are using that tool. Now, to go and remove this. Now, to be able to change the thickness of the line itself or the color simply, same thing in here, going through there, pick your color that you want. Going to this section here, this is how we can change the thickness of the actual trend line tool. Now, I always like to have mine nice and slim, doesn't take up much room. Once more, it's easier to be more accurate with the actual line and where it's positioned itself. If you want to lock that tool in place so you can't move it, we click the little padlock here. So that allows us to be able to keep it still or move it. So I never lock mine in place. I don't want to have them there. stuck, I like to be able to move them around or, remove them as need be. If we're wanting to set an alert, for example, if we're expecting price to push through this trend line and we want to get notified of when that happens, we're going to click our little alarm button here, and that'll set an alert that you can have triggered to that. If we're wanting to delete it, clicking the trash can just there. Now, another way that we can remove trend lines or delete anything off of our charts without having to go to the trash can, just here, the trash can down to the left over in here, is we can click Control Z. Now, if we click Control Z, that'll remove it off of our chart. Fantastic. Another way that we can remove it is going up here, and this is a bit of a long way to go about it. We click our eraser and we go and click on that tool just there. But like I said, a bit of a long way to be able to go around that. Horizontal tool works in the same way. Now, with the trend line tool, if we are wanting to be able to draw a straight line across, for example, if we're wanting to go across these two highs and we don't want to have to try and get it perfect with our mouse, hold your shift button. That allows you to be able to have the tool set to obviously set angles. Makes it really easy to be able to draw a nice straight line without you having to spend a lot of time and staring really closely at the screen and just not having a lot of fun with that. So hold the shift button, and that's how you get that to lock in place. Horizontal ray tool works in exactly the same way. Change the size, double click it, right on it, however you please, whatever you want to do in that sense. You've got that creative ability to make the chart look exactly how you want it to look. Now, our long position, our RR tool for our longs or our buys. So if we were to look at taking a buy off of this position here, and I was to place that there like that, the red at the bottom is my stop loss and where that's going to be positioned. To adjust that, holding the corner of it just here, moving it to wherever we want. Now, if I'm to expect that to be a trade for whatever reason, and I'm wanting to know what the risk to reward is, in the middle here, risk to reward ratio 3.66. I can see my stop loss on this position would be 55.2 pips, and I'll be expecting a move of 201.8 pips. So that's how we're using that. I don't use anything else on there. To have it on the right-hand side so we can see the actual entry point of this trade, comes up in the gray on the right, just here. Stop loss down here and position up here. Beautiful profit target area, I should say. Now, to be able to save this price and, save you having to manually input it, what we'll do is we'll hover over where, for example, the stop loss might be, right click, copy price. That's going to bring that up. We can go and paste that into MetaTrader, Dylanmillerforex, whatever you might be using for your actual execution of your trades themselves. Now, we do have a lot of customization options with this. So first things first, double click on the tool. I don't adjust any of the inputs whatsoever. We can go to style. Now, the line is the line in the middle. We wanted to change the color of that. Might go blue, might go red, might go yellow. Something that's going to stand out over here to make it really easy for you to be able to differentiate where that is compared to your stop loss, the current price, or your take profit area. So it might go like a blue or a yellow, make it really easy to see. Color of your stop loss, same thing. We might go like a gray. We might make it a little bit darker, a little bit easier to see, but not going to take away from the chart. Might change this to a blue. That's what I have mine set up on my own charts. Nice and easy to see. And obviously we can change the size of the text. We want them bigger, or we want them smaller, whatever suits best for you. I keep mine at 12, of course, change the color, do whatever you want to do in that sense. I just keep mine as white. That's all you need to do for that tool. Beautiful, same thing for our sell position. And that's now automatically going to be set to those colors. Beautiful. Okay, drawing tools. This is going to be able to allow us to draw all over the chart exactly however we want to be able to do that. nice and simple, do exactly what you want there. Same sort of thing as the trend line and the horizontal ray. Change the thickness, however you want to go about that. I always have mine at 1, like I said, with the other tools, nice and easy. Works in the exact same way. We can lock it, we can move it, we can obviously delete it with there, Control Z to delete it. That's all you really need to know about that. Change the color, however you want to go about that from there. Highlighter tool works in the exact same way as the drawing tool, changing obviously the depth of that, whether we want it, really faded, really solid color. Of course, we've got all of those different options there. Beautiful. Awesome. Then we can click on those and click delete, and that'll get rid of all of those. Cool. Next tool from there is our box tool. Now we use this to be able to mark out things like IFCs and things of that nature, or whatever you want to use them for, whether you want to use this to cover a leg down, whatever it might be. Lots and lots of customization options with this. Now, for me, what I do is I always have these as a bit of a gray. So the bucket on the right here is going to be the line, the filling, and that's going to be the actual line themselves. So I like to have this as completely faded, 0% off. I don't want it on my charts at all. I find it can just throw your eyes off a little bit depending on the color that you have, but I find it's easier to just be able to have the filling as the thing that I'm going to be able to see. So it doesn't matter what color that is. I can just remove that, get it off my chart. I don't need it there. The fill, I do this as a gray, something that's going to be a little bit easy to see if we're marking an area, but not too dark or, in our face, as that could take away from potentially what it is that you're seeing. We can do things as well by double clicking, extend it to the right. If you want it to cover a whole area, we might use that for an IFC from a long time ago that we're expecting price to come to at some point in the near future. And we don't want to have to keep dragging it along the screen. Like, for example, we don't want to keep having to do this every time we're getting near it. We can just double click, click extend right. That'll always have that there. Same thing across to the left. Cool. We can also write inside of this box. So for example, if we're wanting to label that leg down, click our text button, click in the middle here, change the color to whatever you might want it to be. And we might go bearish leg. Beautiful. That's going to put it at the top. We can have that inside. We can have it underneath. However you want to go about it, in the left, in the center, over to the right, got all those different options. For me, I always do everything in the center. Keeps it nice and easy, and it's not going to take away from price that may be starting to come up through here. Keeps it really nice and easy, not in the way too much or anything like that. Beautiful. All right, cool. Changing the size and everything as normal there. Fantastic. All right, so that's all you really need to know about the toolbars themselves and how to go about that. Have a play around with it, quite easy to use. TradingView is very, very user-friendly. So yeah, don't be shy to have a bit of play around with it. And, it's got lots of other cool features that I don't use. I'm simple. I don't like to go too complex with anything like this. Trading's, quite a complex beast on its own. So I want to keep it nice and simple. Now, excluding that, what we've got from here. So obviously at the top, we've got the pair up the top. You've got your account over to the left, our time frames. We've got next our candles. So we can do candles. We can have a line chart. Line charts are really good for beginners to be able to see your ranges and where you have your breaks of structure and things like that. We always want to use our candles. I don't really think there's any need to have these as favorites unless you are, very new and you're still using the line chart a bit and you want to quickly be able to switch between the two. Of course, you can do that there. Drop down arrow to change or adjust them. I don't have either of mine favorites. I don't really feel the need to be able to do anything like that. Indicators up here, but we don't use indicators in my strategy. But if you are wanting to be able to use them, of course, you've got them inside of here. You can have volume on. You've got lots of different options for you indicator users out there. Beautiful. Okay, next tool. Now, this is more so something that you will use as you're getting into your back testing wanting to be able to review a week's price action, things like that. You might have traded for the week and you wanted to go back over that week's price action. We're going to go to our replay tool. Now, what this will do is relay back price and allow you to replay it back through. So click on that. This is what will make your screen look like. So we might click it to here. And then to be able to move this back further from here without having to completely exit out, what we do is we've got a little button down here that says select bar. That's going to bring it back up again. Or we can go back further and adjust that as need be. To play price along, we select the time or the speed of how fast we want it to move. Click on the little play button and that'll move it along from there. If you're not wanting to play it along, but you're wanting to be able to move a candle forward, you've got this forward button just here. And we click on that each time we want to move a candle. Beautiful. Okay. Now, next thing is if we're having drawings on our charts, and this is another way you can remove drawings off of the actual chart itself. So you have a little back button up here, the undo button. Click on that, and that'll remove them. If you're wanting to put that back on, you've made a mistake. You got rid of a drawing that you didn't want to get rid of. Just click the forward button, and that'll put it back on your chart. Awesome. Okay, cool. Now, we do have options to be able to make this as a full screen. That is simply this button just here. Now, that's going to bring it up nice and easy. Don't have any distractions or anything like that. If you're on the full screen mode and you're wanting to change the time, we hover up over the day over here and we type in, for example, if we want to go down to the 15-minute, we type in 15, click enter, and that'll bring you up to there. To exit out of the full screen, we just click the escape button. Now, this is something that you definitely will use as you start to progress further in your trading journey. By that stage, or if you're at this stage already, you're really going to know how to use this, but it's splitting our screen to be able to have different charts. If I want half of my screen on Euro USD and half of it on GBP USD, which I do use, so you saw a lot of correlations between the two pairs. I hover over this here. It won't let me do it as I'm on the free version, but once you've got the paid trading view, that is something that you can also do. From there, the next thing that's really, really important is a little camera button up here. This is going to allow you to download the picture, copy the image, or copy the link. Really good, for example, if you've got a mentor and you're wanting to send them a photo of your chart on something that you might be looking at, or a bit of feedback on something, copy the chart, paste in your images, whatever you're doing there with your communication, and then send that through. Journaling, copy the link, that'll save this chart exactly how it is now. So then you can paste that link in your journal exactly as is. Anytime you want to revisit that, click on that link and it'll load up this image. Absolutely fantastic to use, saves it in really good quality. Cool. Now, from there, what we can do is we've got a lot of customization options on the actual chart itself. We can change the background, we can change the candles, lots of different options there. How we do that is we hover over the chart, go over the candles, and double click. For me, when it comes to actually selecting the color of my candles themselves, I like to be able to keep it nice and neutral. I don't like the green and the red. I find it triggers your psychology a little bit. We want to remain neutral as traders. So we don't really want things that are going to be triggering us to, react in a certain emotional way. We want to remain completely neutral. So for me, I have mine as quite calming colors. My bullish candles, I have them all as blue. So if I go and set this up now, my bearish candles, I have them as black. Really, really easy to read. I find it doesn't play tricks on my eyes or anything like that. It's not hard on my eyes. For example, when I'm trading New York session, it's late at night. It's very, very subtle on my eyes. It's not intense and in my face, but also still really easy to read and see exactly what price it's doing. Choose what you want to do there. You might do black and white, which a lot of people do. You might do something where you have the candles themselves as white with a colored border. You might go a black border and black wicks. Really easy to see, nice and simple. do exactly, as you please there, whatever works for you. But like I said, I like to have mine with a little bit of color on there. Cool. Okay. The background. So lots of different options here. As I said, sometimes it's quite late for me when I'm trading. I don't like the white. Find it's sort of feels like a hospital. It's not very nice to look at. It's pretty intense on your eyes. So I have mine as gradient background. I go the first gray and then the second gray. It's easy on the eyes. It takes that intensity away. Not harsh, especially for those late night sessions. In the background, you can see we've got those lines. If I just go back to the white, make it easier to see. We've got all of these lines running in the background across here. I don't like to have them. I don't use them for anything. Like I said, I like to keep my chart nice and simple. So we can go vertical ones. We can go horizontal only. I like to have none. Blank canvas. So this is how my chart looks as mine's set up. Exactly like that. We don't need to touch anything else. I don't move anything else in the options here. I don't do anything with this. If you're wanting to be able to keep these news events on, like you can see down on the bottom here, we've got a news option just down there. We can remove those off of our charts. They aren't a bad thing to have on there. I use Forex Factory to be able to see the news personally, but we can get rid of those as well. So get rid of that. Now, when it comes to alerts and alarms, so on the right-hand side, if we exit out of that, on the right-hand side, you'll see this little plus just here. Click on that, and we can add an alert that will run along the bottom just here. You can see it comes up with this little dotted line. Now, if we want to remove that off of our chart and not have that there, we go alert line, and we unclick it. You can see it'll always keep the little triangle off to the right here, but I do like to keep mine on there just so I can just remind myself where I do have my alert sets for any time I want to have a quick look back at the chart, make sure I've got it on there. It's nice and easy to use, nice and easy to see. Okay, getting to the end of this lesson now. There's only a couple more things that we need to go through. I'll just remove these to get rid of the alert. Click on the alert itself, click on the plus, or sorry, the X, click on yes, and that'll remove those off of our charts just there. All right, now running along the bottom of our chart itself, you can see we've got the time set here. To be able to change the time to fit your time zone, we've got all the options down in the bottom right-hand corner. So click on this to better select your time. If you're trading London, which I do trade the London session, I like to know where I'm at in comparison to London time. I always have my charts set to London time. Down the bottom is where you'll have your day, the date, and obviously the time as well. So nice and easy for you to be able to read that along there. Along the right, we have the price. When we're in our trading session during the week, underneath the price just here, we will have the actual time left in this candle. So I'm on the 15-minute time frame now. And if I was to want to know how many minutes are left in this, I'll look over to the right and it might say 3 minutes, 30 seconds, for example, left on that candle before it closes. Now, when it comes to actually reading the candlesticks on how they're positioned, obviously we've got our bullish candlesticks, which on my chart are these blue ones, and then we've got our bearish candlesticks, which are the black ones. Now, the open and the close of the candle obviously does change, and we have our candle bodies and our candle wicks. Now, the actual, if I replay this to a candle, it's very easy to read. Okay, I can't do that on this time frame. That's okay. As we can see here, we're to pay attention to this candle just here, this blue one. The candle opens here, the candle closed here, and you can see the bearish candle, the next candle opened here and closed down here. So on a candle, if we're to look at this, we have the body, and then we have our wicks. So this is our candle body, and these are our wicks. All right, beautiful. Now, obviously, the bearish candle works in the same way. Open, close. Here are our wicks. So this is obviously going to change as it's setting up. And that's all we really need to know about those candles. There's nothing more to them than that. So very simple to read. Hope everyone gets a lot of value from this lesson. If you do, write in the comments, let me know your feedback. Always love to be able to improve the way that we're delivering the information at Freedom Forex Trading. And yeah, hope to see you guys all around the community soon. Take care.